For many days, Mrs. Hall had tolerated what no innkeeper ordinarily would: the silence, the secrecy, the locked door, and the growing feeling that the stranger upstairs was hiding something he had no intention of explaining. At last, the question could no longer wait. The matter itself was perfectly ordinary. Rooms, meals, payment, the small practical concerns upon which every inn depended. Yet even these simple necessities had become strangely difficult, because every conversation with the stranger seemed to encounter an invisible wall. For several days, Mrs. Hall delayed the confrontation. She climbed the stairs repeatedly. She listened. She waited. She convinced herself that tomorrow would prove easier, but tomorrow never arrived. Some doors become difficult to open, not because they are locked, but because we begin fearing what may stand behind them. And in the silence of the corridor, even Mrs. Hall found herself hesitating. The stranger answered, but only barely. His voice carried exhaustion, irritation, a fatigue that seemed older than the journey itself. The room around him appeared increasingly disordered, as though the very act of living within it had become difficult. Objects had begun accumulating strangely. Books remained open. Furniture shifted. Personal belongings appeared abandoned. And the room itself seemed less like temporary lodging and more like a place under siege. For the first time, the inn heard anger. Not loud anger, not violence, but the unmistakable strain of a man whose patience had begun to fail. His words grew sharper, his movements quicker, and suddenly the stranger no longer seemed merely secretive. He seemed cornered. Below, the sounds traveled. No one wished to interfere, yet no one could entirely ignore them. Conversation stopped. Chairs remained motionless. Even the fire seemed suddenly louder. The entire room had begun listening together. The theories returned: disfigurement, illness, crime, madness. Each explanation attempted to restore order. Each explanation attempted to make the stranger understandable. Yet every explanation failed, for the stranger himself seemed determined to remain unknown. Curiosity became concern. Concern became suspicion. And suspicion finally climbed the stairs. The room upstairs no longer belonged solely to its occupant. It belonged to the imagination of the entire inn, and every person standing outside that door brought with them a different fear. Even the smallest movements acquired meaning. A curtain slightly displaced, a chair not where it belonged, a sound difficult to explain. People began noticing details they would once have ignored, because fear, once established, begins collecting evidence, and imagination soon learns how to assist it. And still, the face remained hidden. The bandages, the dark glasses, the gloves, every answer carefully concealed. The stranger revealed everything except himself, and perhaps that was what disturbed the villagers most. Not what they knew, but what they could not know. Mrs. Hall attempted to preserve ordinary life. The tables were cleared, The lamps prepared, the rooms arranged. Yet routine itself could no longer calm the house, for anxiety had entered the building. And anxiety rarely leaves simply because the work is finished. People now crossed hallways differently. They listened before opening doors. They hesitated upon staircases. They entered rooms carefully. The inn no longer frightened them through visible danger. It frightened them through expectation. Late at night, the staircase itself seemed unwilling to sleep. Every floorboard carried memory. Every shadow felt occupied. Every silence appeared to listen. And still, above them all, the stranger remained.
Fear rarely spreads through proof. Most often, it spreads through people. A glance repeated, a silence interpreted, a question asked often enough that everyone begins asking it. The villagers of Iping were no longer reacting only to the stranger upstairs. They were reacting to one another, to expectation, to hesitation, to the growing tension that had quietly settled inside the walls around them. The inn still stood. The winter still gathered beyond its windows. The candles still burned. And yet nothing inside the house felt entirely ordinary anymore. For once, uncertainty takes root within a community. It rarely remains confined to a single room. And somewhere above them, behind the closed door, the silence continued listening.